Alright, welcome back. This is What If Deku was Shirou Emiya, Part 12. And in this last episode, where we left off, Bakugo was arrested, and the League of Villains were definitely, trained on them. And, you know, it's time for the exams, so let's jump right into it. So, the last part, Nezu told Aizawa that pretty much all the students except for Ida, Asui, and Deku were going to have a much harder trial. And if any of them failed, they would be expelled. And 2 students were expelled last episode, Kirishima and Kaminari. So those 2 are gone. And since Bakugo's in jail, and I'm going to say, everyone starts panicking now because all the dumb students, they're just completely panicking. Deku's not really stressing it about the written exams, neither is Ida. Asui is a little bit concerned, but at the same time, Ida's promised to help out Asui. And, I'm going to say the incident at UA it went news, nationwide of Bakugo being put into jail for attempted murder charges. And Rin heard about that, and she's worried, extremely worried about Deku. And not only that, but the rest of the students at UA, and I'm not just saying class 1B or the support course, the first years, everyone at UA is concerned about class 1A now. And I'm going to say, Mirio especially, he's really bothered by that, wondering how UA could let in an individual that was, as off-hinged as Bakugo, someone who would willingly, try to kill somebody just for answers. Or that someone who would use their quirk so freely out and about. And, All Might's pissed because it's just one of his students, someone that he saw so much potential in, is now in jail for something incredibly heinous. And Deku is injured. Don't get it twisted. Just because he took down Bakugo does not mean he did not take damage, because that was an explosion point blank range. So Deku does have burns on his face, not major burns, but still you can tell who Bakugo is trying to kill. But, Recovery Girl's doing her best with the burns. But, she says she can't get them fully erased. And Deku's like, oh, that's okay. I know a doctor who might be able to. He tells her that, but really he's just going to ask Tosaka to use her magic and see if Luvia has any type of magic that can get these burn marks off his face. But, so Deku invites Asui and Ida over to his place to study. And Asui's, she's just like, we're going to your house. Really? Well, I know you have a girlfriend. Will she be alright with that? And Deku's like, yeah, it'll be fine. You're a friend, and you did stand up for me, kinda. you were the only one that was actually talking to me like a normal person, so sure. I don't see any reason why she shouldn't. And Asui's like, okay. So they all head back to Deku's house, and, you know, they're studying. Tosaka comes in, and she sees Deku's face, and she's like, oh my gosh, it was you on that happened to on the news today. And she tells Deku, come with her. Deku gets up and, walk back into the back room. And Tosaka says, I'm going to try to use a highly advanced healing spell to heal those burns, but I'm not 100% certain if we'll be able to, completely erase them or not. And, Deku's like, yeah, it's alright if you can't, but I'd like you to try anyway. And Tosaka's doing that to Deku's face, and Deku, you know, he could tell something's on Tosaka's mind, so he asks her, you know, what's up? And Tosaka's like, oh, it's nothing. I was just wondering who that girl is you brought over. And Deku's like, she's just a friend. She was actually the only one in my class besides Ida that was actually talking to me like a person, like I'm a human being. And, she's like, well, if that's the case, I don't mind her being over here, as long as she's just a friend. Deku looks at her in the eyes and he tells her, I will never cheat on you. I hope you know that, and I hope you can trust me on that. Tosaka looks back in the eyes and she's like, I never accused you, and I do believe you. And Deku's like, I know. I'm just putting your mind at ease. You're my woman, and I gotta make sure your mind's at ease so nothing gets, twisted around or lost. And Tosaka, she tells him, you're being so much of a man right now, not even flinching at the pain that's, going through your body while I'm healing you. Deku tells her, pain? Really? And, he's looking down at his right arm that, his archer's arm, and she's just like, right. Compared to that pain, this one wouldn't even register, would it? Deck's like, no, nowhere even close to having your arm blown off and then somebody else's magic circuits running wild throughout your body. And she's just like, well, I could always make you feel better tonight. And Deku's just like, it has been a while since we did it, so, I really don't mind it. And Tosaka's like, well, I'm in the mood. And Deku's like, alright. Okay. So let's get the mood lighting set. They lock the door. Deku, and Rin, they're pulling out the candles, lighting all the candles around the room, turn off all the other lights. And, I'm going to say Deku, he has window open to where the moonlight's coming in too. Give it a bit of better lighting in there, more mood lighting. Because the candles aren't that bright, because there's only like 4 of them. It's just kind of for the aroma. So Tosaka, she kind of pushes Deku onto his bed. And Deku, he lays back a bit. And Tosaka, she goes and takes off her shirt. She's doing it very slowly, seductively. She gets over there. She puts her hands on Deku's waist and pulls his shirt upward as she slowly moves her hands up his chest, off his arms, takes the shirt off. He straddles his waist. And, she starts kissing his chest, his neck, all the way up to his face. And while Deku's kissing her, he's undoing Tosaka's bra. He throws that bitch clear across the room. He starts kissing Tosaka's body. He starts from her lips and he pulls away, biting her lip a little bit, down to her neck, her shoulders and collarbone, leaving hickeys on her. And then he goes down to her breast, sucking on those a little bit. Just typical foreplay shit. Rubbing his hands, up and down her back, down to her hips, takes off her skirt, and Tosaka unfastening Deku's pants, slides those off. Throws that shit out. And, Deku, he's feeling good right now. He's completely forgotten about almost being killed today. Tosaka, she still does the foreplay shit with Deku. Takes off his boxers, throws those, almost out the fucking window. Starts giving Deku a blowjob. Deku's just laying back there. Has his hand on her head, Occasionally he'll push it down on there and then bring it back up. And, so eventually it gets to the point where Deku's just like, cut the foreplay shit, let's do it. So he puts Tosaka on the bed. Her back is on the mattress. Her waist is hanging off the bed because Deku has that in his hand. And, he's lifting that up a little bit. Slams his dick in her and, just starts straight up fucking the shit out of Tosaka. And that goes on for I'm going to say the boy's got like an hour's worth of stamina in him. Doing different positions like doggy style, missionary, reverse cowgirl. Just a bunch of different fucking positions. And then, Deku finishes, he's fucking wore out. He lays down there on his bed with Tosaka. She pulls the covers up over them as she lays down on his chest. And Tosaka's fucking exhausted. She can barely even speak right now or move. So she passes out. Deku's just laying there thinking. He's thinking like, what's the actual physical part of the test going to be? Because Deku, at this point, he really doesn't care about doing, the hero schools type shit. Because in his mind, he's already a hero. He saved countless people, and they didn't even know it. He even saved everyone in his class, and they didn't even know that shit. So Deku's just like, I can save them as many times as I want, but they're still going to hate me, but that's okay. I've already became a hero. But, they'll never recognize me as that, but at the same time, I have become one. And he's like, Ida has become a hero too. He's already risked his life, fought against somebody more powerful than All Might right beside me. And he saved the love of my life, life. He saved Tosaka from dying. So no matter what happens, me and him are going to continue. But we just cannot let Asui fail because this is all she's got. And unlike Ida, she doesn't know about the world of magecraft. None of that. And I can't draw her into that. So we got to make sure she stays in that school. And say Asui, she got really tired. So she decided to go home. Ida, he just stayed there because he's already spent the night at Deku's house. And he's talking to Luvia. And, he's getting closer and closer with Luvia. he's flirting with her a little bit, saying how beautiful her blonde hair is, hinting towards him liking her. And Olivia, she's appreciating the attention, but she also wants to talk to Ida about how it felt, fighting alongside Deku, you know. And Ida tells her it was terrifying. He was scared completely, and he didn't know what was going to happen. He had no idea the type of danger he was facing. He was scared that one of those swords would cut down the tree that he was behind and impale him and kill him. He was scared for his life. And, he's just like, I can't believe that's what Emiya goes through every time he fights someone like that. That he was able to fight another servant like that and win. And he's just like, he's honestly incredible. And I have nothing but respect for him. And he's so much stronger than I imagined. And he tells her, I don't even think All Might could have a candle against Deku. At this point, Emiya, he's just so strong. And that guy that he was fighting, he was ridiculously strong. I mean, he was shattering everything, craters forming in the ground from weapons that they weren't even using in their hands. It's like the landscape drastically changed throughout the entirety of that fight. And then what Deku did at the end there with that golden sword, completely obliterating every trace of that monstrosity and that deadly gooey liquid shit that was, I was running from. Just, he created an entire rift throughout the entire forest all the way to the mountains. Like, I can't compete with that. I don't think there's anybody out there that could. And Olivia says, he's just had a lot more practice than you. Even before enrolling in UA, he was taught a lot more strictly. He had to fight golems, other servants, and even the teachers themselves every day without a break. Fighting was drilled into him. The concept of taking a life is something that he's always struggled with. But when it came down to it, he was able to put that behind him and kill without hesitation. And sometimes that's what you're going to have to do. If someone is putting innocent people's lives at stake and it's obvious they're not going to surrender and you can't beat them any other way, you'll have to take their life in order to truly save people. And she tells him, Deku's father, Kiritsugu, the file stated that he would often kill a minority to save the majority of the population. He would kill whoever and, whatever, despite if they were innocent or guilty. If it came down to a choice between saving 6 people on a boat or 100 people in an airplane, and there was a bomb, Kiritsugu would have blown up the boat to save the airplane. And that's where Deku was at for the longest time, but he's changed. Now it seems like he just wants to save everyone he can, no matter the minority or the majority. But it's all secondary to him now. There's one person's life that he would put above everyone else's, and that's Tosaka's. She says, I can understand him feeling happy and wanting that relationship, but at the same time, it's scary because what if something happens to Tosaka? What happens if she's killed? What happens if she's taken from Deku? What happens to Emiya then? What type of man will Izuku Emiya become when he's devoid of all hope and has to face despair head on after everything he's already lost? And Ida tells her that, if that ever happens, Emiya will become the living definition of the hero of justice. But justice might very well mix with vengeance. And Luvia says, on that, we can be certain. So, he tells her that, he's glad that he's met her. And that he hopes that one day they can, go out on a date sometime. And Luvia, she's kind of shocked at that. About Ida being so forward all of a sudden. And she's just like, well, I didn't expect you to make that statement after the conversation. And Ida's just like, well, if Emiya can be so forward, so can I. And Luvia says, you know what? I respect that. So, I will grace you with one date. And Ida says, great, I look forward to it. And they head off to bed. So, the exams come and pass, and all the written ones, Deku passes with flying colors, Ida does the same, and Asui, she really, from studying with Deku and Ida, and Deku being like a super fucking genius in this timeline, Asui passes with flying colors as well, and she's really surprised about that. And Aizawa, he notices that her exam scores are a lot higher than what she normally scores. Has the fourth best score out of the class. That surprises him. And so he tells them that since all the written exams are done, it's time for their practical exam. And he said there will be 2 teams. And the teams were decided by Nezu, and these are the teams. Team 1 is Izuku Emiya, and everyone's like, oh shit, who's going to be on his team? And Tenya Ida, and they're like, well, no surprise there. And then Tsuyu Asui. And everyone is shocked when they hear Asui is on those two's team. Asui's not really surprised, though. She has been spending a lot more time around them. So she is very, very, comfortable around them. But she doesn't know how to really fight around the side of them. And, I must say that their opponent is 2 pro heroes. And the 2 pro heroes that those 3 have to fight And I'm gonna say that, Mirio went to Nezu and, he explained the situation and, he's just like, well, we should have them tested. And All Might was in there and he knows that Mirio is being mentored by someone. So, alongside All Might, they have to fight Night Eye, the former, hero and sidekick duo. That is who Ida, Asui, and Deku are fighting. Ida is just like, holy shit. And All Might says, oh, don't worry. We have these specialized weights on to kind of hold back a little here. And Night Eye says, no, he doesn't have them because his quirk's not so strong. Since his quirk is in his eyes. And they explain that there is only two ways that they can win. And Deku's just like, alright, what are the two ways we can win? And Night Eye says, you either capture All Might and I, or all three of you escape before the time limit expires. And he points the entrance is all the way behind him. And they're in a 200-kilometer area in all directions. And they start in the middle. And he says there's only two exits, but the entrance they came in will not function as an exit. And Ida's just like, shit. So we have to find two correct exits, and all three of us have to get out one of them, or we have to capture both of these guys. And Ida says, even holding back, it's not going to be easy. And Deku's like, yeah, that's true. And he says, but I could probably handle All Might. And Ida, I know you're faster than Night Eye, so as long as I can keep All Might busy, you'll be free to search for the exits. And Ida's like, that's true. And he looks at Asui and he's like, can you find another one? And Asui's surprised. She's like, you want me to scout the other areas? And he's like, no, I want you to find both of them. And Deku looks at Ida. He's like, what? He's like, me and you are going to do the fighting, Emiya. And Deku's surprised. And he's just like, you sure? He's like, I could probably handle Night Eye. After all, if we could handle Gilgamesh, I don't see any way we'll be losing to these two. And Ida's doing his stretches, and he's all ready to go. Deku's in his uniform. He enhances his body to the max. He's like, alright, I'm ready to go as well. They tell Asui to get going. And Night Eye's like, oh. And he uses his quirk to see what they're planning in the future. And he pretty much gets the gist of their plans. But something weird happens. He can't see the correct future. There's two different endings that shouldn't be there. Night Eye's confused, He tells All Might he can't see the future, the correct one. And All Might is confused by that, but he's just like, oh well, let's just do our best. After all, we were told not to hold back. After all, these two are claiming that they are already true heroes. Time to knock their arrogance down a peg. And, there are stipulations put on Deku. Number one is he cannot use any weapon whatsoever. And the rule Second rule is he cannot use any other magic than strengthening magic. And this is all stuff that Nezu's told him in private. So, and Deku lets Ida know that, he's been put under strict stipulations, and if he violates them, he's kind of forfeiting his time here. And that's not all, but all three of them fail. He was just like, well, the principal sure is fucking you here, isn't he? And Deku tells him, well, you said it. As for the second match, I'm going to say these two matches, they're going on side by side because they're in two different areas. And the second match is the rest of Class 1A versus Nezu, Aizawa, and Midnight, along with President Mike. And the same rules apply to them. And just, since there's more of them, I'm going to say, Nezu added a stipulation saying that even if one of them fails, the rest of them will get a failing grade as well. So they're going to have to work just as hard. But I'm going to say, the rest of Class 1A manages to pull out a win. Because Todoroki is still a powerhouse. And he would make sure that everyone wins because he's not getting sent home just because of some dead weight. Not only that, but Tokoyami is very determined. After hearing Ida's words, he realizes just how much he fucked up. And Uraraka, she's kind of just pissed at everything. But, she does feel bad about what happened to Deku. So she is working her ass off to keep her spot. Because she's wanting to apologize to him. And after they win, they all look over and they see the other match hasn't concluded yet. And they have 30 minutes left. And while the rest of Class 1A was going on, Deku and All Might, they were swapping hands. Like, Deku is matching All Might blow for blow. But, Deku is the superior fighter, but at the same time, his cloak has been torn. Like, his hood, it's torn off of him. So basically, the red part on his top half is gone. All he's got left is just his bottom half. And Deku, even though he's using his magic, like, his skin is being burnt more and more every time he uses his magic. And at this point, his hair is completely white now. There is no green left in his hair. And All Might's seeing this, and he's realizing whatever it is Deku's doing, it's gotta be causing him some terribly uncomfortable pain. Because every so often, he would see just steam coming off of Deku, and would see his skin darkening. And Ida, he's doing pretty well against Night Eye, considering, so. And then that's when Asui, she gets in contact because they do have, comms in this, and she tells them that she's found the exit. And, she says, it's all the way on the far left-hand side in the center. And, Ida tells her to go ahead and hit the exit. They know where it's at now. They'll be able to catch up later. And Deku, he pretty much tells Ida, after he kicks Night Eye away a pretty good distance, head for the exit, and he'll take care of the rest of the things here and meet him out there later. And because he can tell Ida's just about at his limit with his legs, so he might as well try to hurry it up and end it. And Ida's like, oh, don't worry. I'm not going to be relying on my legs so much right now. He's like, I've learned a few things from Lupia that I'm wanting to try out. So when Night Eye, Night Eye throws a kick at Ida. Ida ducks under. He grabs Night Eye's leg, lifts him up from, the split of his legs, flips Night Eye towards the ground, puts his leg behind Night Eye's head, and basically does a curb stomp to Night Eye's head into the ground, knocking Night Eye out. And everyone sees that on the TV, and they're just like, what in the hell? And Ida captures Night Eye. He puts the handcuffs on them and pretty much just says, I'm done with mine. I'm going to grab him and head towards the exit. Catch up soon. To Deku, and Deku's just like, alright, show off. And everybody's just watching Deku go toe-to-toe with All Might, and they're just like, yo, what in the fuck? And Deku's just like, martial arts, they've been working so far, but maybe I should start, turning it up a bit and using my speed more. And he's just like, if I can't use accelerate, then... And Deku realizes he's been focusing all his magic throughout his body evenly, but what if he dials back the percentages in certain spots and increases them in the other spots? Like where his leg movements are, so he can go faster without using, the acceleration spell. And that's what Deku does, and he's getting a lot faster than All Might, and he switches the percentages to his arms and legs, on the flip of a dime. And he gets the upper hand against All Might. And I'm going to say, he puts All Might in a triangle hold and uses all of his strengthening magic into his limbs and knocks All Might out. He gets him in a submission, captures All Might, and before he can even head to the exit, Deku, Ida, and Asui are the winners of that. But, you gotta remember, I'm not saying that Deku is 100% stronger than All Might, because All Might was suppressed heavily, and I do mean heavily suppressed with the weights. So it's not like All Might was anywhere near his full strength. Because if I'm being honest, Deku's just not there yet. And All Might, he comes to, and he's just like, that was a good strategy. And Deku's like, yeah. And everyone was just like, yo, you just beat All Might. And, Deku corrects him. He's just like, no. I beat a heavily suppressed All Might. If he didn't have those things on, I would have gotten blown back. And, as he walks up to Deku and he says, you displayed fine, leadership in there. I'm glad you proved me right. And you didn't disappoint me in any way, shape, or form. You did a good job. I expect great things from you in the future. And everyone passes. But that is where I'm going to be leaving it off for today. So, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.